Cheers. Here's mud in your eye.
Welcome to Rescue TV. I have got a girl crush sitting right next to me, Kim Cattrall. Welcome to Australia.
Thank you.
And you're here for the Specsavers Spectacle Wearer of the Year Award.
Yes, I am. I'm a judge.
An official judge with my other favourite person, Alex Perry.
Yes, very talented. Makes eyewear as well.
And makes eyewear as well. I'm so intrigued to meet you in person because I think that some people get to play characters that have an impression on the world that almost goes ahead of them. How was it being Samantha Jones for so many years, and how has she influenced who Kim Cattrall is?
It's been a blast playing Samantha. It was a blast playing Samantha. I loved her. I loved her courage. I loved her honesty. I loved how she was not judgmental. That was a real bonus for me. I think that no one had really seen a character like her before. She was sort of like a modern day Aphrodite, really.
She was a real feminist icon if you think about it.
Yes.
You know, she chose not to have children.
Yes.
She chose to have an incredible career that she dictated.
And a relationship on her terms.
Always relationship.
Or no relationship.
Yeah.
Yes.
She enjoyed sex. She was empowered by who she was.
Yes.
And for me,
and she knew what she liked.
It was like that post-Madonna, you know, the new feminism of that early 2000s time. Did you know that that was going to be the character? And did you ever think when you accepted the role that there would be this breakaway icon?
No, I knew that we were on to something.
When did you know?
From the first read-through, I knew that there was something special. There was sort of a feeling in the room where we were rehearsing. And it was just a read-through. We didn't rehearse more than that. And then the next time we saw each other was on the set. But there was something so intrinsically right about the chemistry of the four women. And I always felt that the four characters together made up
the perfect woman.
Or a woman,
Yeah.
you know, a questioning part of her, a romantic side of her, a very sort of ambitious male side to her, and a kind of a fun, adventurous side to her. And all of those moods were in those characters. But we never knew it was going to capture a moment in people's imagination. I don't think you ever can. You just have the scripts that you have,
and then there's magic.
And then there's something that happens, yeah.
Do you think that it's an interesting commentary on the way male and female friendships are viewed? That, you know, a cohort like the boys in Ocean's 11 are always reported on being great friends, hugely involved in each other's lives, super supportive, and yet, you know, the ultimate girl power team that was the four of you in Sex and the City have always been plagued by fictitious stories of rivalry, bitchiness, and when you dig down, it's always blasted as being untrue.
Yes, well, it sells copy. I think that a lot of PAPs and certain kinds of newspapers and blogs, they like to, you know, turn up the heat in whatever the situation is. And I just think, well, who cares? It's, first of all, it's not true. And second of all, what is that? It doesn't really bring an audience that brings us further as women. It brings us further as human beings, really. I mean, we need to understand not just each other in a gender way. We need to understand how women work. And women,
I guess that's why
women are yes, and women are problem solvers. They're on it, you know. They want to negotiate. They want to understand what you're trying to say. It's a man's fantasy, and I think that society is something invested in depowering and devaluing women if they're at each other. I really think that even that on an unconscious level that is happening. But it was such a supportive atmosphere. It was in sometimes a scary place because we were going and taking on subject matter that had never been seen, especially on television, especially with Samantha.
And I was going to say, Samantha first came onto the screens in her early 40s.
Yes.
And in her early 40s, she was depicted as being highly sexual, incredibly attractive, very empowered. And that was new for screens.
Yes.
And I've heard in interviews you say that there are some limited roles for women, yet when I look back on, you know, my box set of Sex and the City, I think definitely Samantha was the most beautiful. I look at you and I think, you know, you've grown into your face, you've grown into your body, you have this incredible confidence. What advice would you give to women who are, you know, they say 40 is the new 30. What advice would you give to women in their 40s, in their 50s about visibility and attractiveness?
I would just say it gets better. And how it gets better is acceptance and knowing yourself. Knowing, having been in so many situations in so many similar ways, you say, that's what I think, that's where I go. Sometimes it's a cautionary tale because we can all do with reflection from others and ourselves, but also in a way of understanding and a personality, a part of you which is already established, and honoring that. Saying, you know, I don't do well in that kind of circumstance, but that's okay. I do really well over here. I think society puts roles on women, men and women, but specifically women, and women do on themselves, which squeezes them to the limit. And they find themselves, they can't breathe, literally. So I really think what my secret is of being content, and has been for the last 15 years in particular, has been really knowing and honoring more of where I am and who I am, and negotiating and navigating it from there. I mean, that has given me a tremendous amount of confidence to take on people who say that turning 60 is a terrible time. It's a celebratory time. I'm healthy, I'm happy, I'm sexual, I'm smart, I'm making things happen in a way that I would never have anticipated in my 40s. And then people look at 40 and they say, no, that's when that happens. There is no mandate. Women are different, you know, all kinds of, but there are things within the decades that all of us go through. The choice to have a child or not to have a child, and also letting go of just what nature and biology is telling us to do. The great thing about being this age is, like, I don't have to worry about certain things anymore, you know, those are a fait accompli. And that, instead of a troubling thing for, you know, someone, is for me a liberation. So I think it's really embracing what the decades bring you and reinventing and completely understanding that you can still keep learning and changing and growing. Things might be slowing down in one area, but your brain can take over in another, your imagination. You never know who you're going to meet. You know, coming to Australia, saying yes to this wonderful opportunity to sit here and talk about women's issues with a woman like you, it's a bonus for me.
Oh, and it is such a bonus for us. Now, before you go, we have to talk about Specsavers.
Yes, Specsavers.
And the reason I say that is that one of the biggest things about Sex and the City was, and the fascination with the show, was the ability to dress up and your costumes.
Yes.
And I think glasses are an amazing opportunity.
I think glasses are
to dress up.
ultimate accessory.
Twin.
Yeah.
How are we looking? So I instantly feel more bookish and sexy librarian with these on.
But it does slightly change your view,
Do you
doesn't
play
it?
around with different glasses?
Oh, yes. Pat Field taught me that was sort of the cherry on top of the experience of my costuming. It was the last thing that we got to, and it kind of brought everything together, because your face is what people look at. They might check out what you're wearing, but they're talking.
We saw a lot more than your face on Sex and the City, but yes, your face is what people initially look at. Yes. It was such a pleasure to meet you, and you've really made my day and my decade, because I know there's so many more beautiful things to look forward to.
Thank you. Check out Sensitive Skin. I think you might like it.
Oh, thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mwah.